good, y'all? Welcome to my review for Secret Invasion. Just finished up the final episode, man. And overall, man, at least for me personally, I love this show, man. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's my favorite, of the Disney Plus show. This is one where I'd probably rank around the bottom, honestly. But I absolutely love this show nonetheless, man. And it is definitely a far improvement over She-Hulk, man. Like, listen, and I like She-Hulk too, but good God, bro, did that show up its problems, and he's easily the worst of the Disney Plus Marvel shows so far, man. So yeah, She-Hulk, not good. Or it was good, but like, definitely has problem. And yeah, Secret Invasion, even if you weren't that bad, I think we can all agree that was at least better than She-Hulk. Then again, that's probably not saying a lot to a lot of people. But anyway, man, this show was absolutely amazing, bro. And yeah, let's just jump right in. So the show stars Emily Clark, Kobe Smulders, if I'm pronouncing her name right, Kingston Ben Ben Adir, if I'm pronouncing his name right, Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson, Ben Metal Sean, however you pronounce his last name, Olivia Colman, and many more. And the plot of Secret Invasion is Nick Fury learns of a secret invasion of Earth by the faction of shape-shifting Skrulls. Fury joins his allies, and together they race against time to thwart the immediate Skrull invasion and to save humanity. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, this is probably a very short spoiler-free section because there's really not a lot of this show. There's a lot of this show that I want to talk about. A majority of it is spoilers, especially what happens in like the first episode and what happens with Nick Fury. So a lot of the spoiler-free part of this review is going to be very brief and very ambiguous, I guess, as we try not to spoil anything before we get to spoiler discussion. Then, of course, I'll be going off and really diving into my full thoughts on certain things. But one thing I thought was great, overall I thought the cast was great. Samuel Jackson easily gives his best performance as Nick Fury in this show. Like, I will say throughout most of it, he's basically just playing himself at this point, but it's a mixture of him playing himself, but also we see a much older, older and more vulnerable Nick Fury. And I think Samuel Jackson does that really well. There's some really good scenes from him in this series, man. And like I think overall, like I mentioned before, this is easily his best performance as Nick Fury that we have seen into the MCU up to this point, man. I love what this show does with his character, and I think he was one of the best parts of the show, man. Also, Rhodey, he steals the show on the handful of scenes he's in, and I'm definitely curious to see what the ending of this show could lead into Armor Wars, which you guys know has since been moved from a Disney Plus series into its own movie, which hell yeah, man. Rhodey gets his own film. You love to see it. But he was fucking hilarious in the show, man. And he easily stole the show. Like, my favorite moments from him was this scene around, like, a midpoint where he's in, like, this church and, like, mentioning how he choke slammed someone off the top rope and mentions The Undertaker. That scene where he was, like, kind of going off on wrestling references about a DDT off the top rope, man. That shit had me in tears, bro. And that was easily one of the highlights of the show, man, when he started name dropping wrestling moves and like The Undertaker. That was a highlight for me of that episode, man. So Rhodey, he's awesome. He's fantastic. At this point, he basically ain't taking nobody's shit no more. And yeah, Rhodey steals the show, man, in the handful of scenes we see him in this series. And like I said before, I'm very curious to know what they did in this series could lead into Armor Wars, because I feel like this show probably has some connection with Armor Wars. When that comes out, we'll probably see some continuation from that into that movie whenever that comes out. So that was great, man. I already mentioned Samuel Jackson was great. Ben as Talos, I thought he was great as well. His chemistry with Nick Fury was fantastic. There's some really nice scenes in here, man. Like there was one where they're like interrogating a Skrull and they're like arguing back and forth. And Nick Fury's like, "Oh, sorry, do you have an idea about the chairs thing?" Which I think I mentioned in my review for the first episode, the first impressions. Obviously, you guys know, if you guys saw my first impressions, you guys know I actually like the intro of the show. I know a lot of people like had their opinions on it, of course, it being AR generated and everything, and you know all that, man. Y'all are entitled to your own opinions on all that whole thing, man. Whether you like it or hate it, I understand both points. Me personally, I enjoyed it. I thought the intro looked cool, but that's just me personally. Love the song of it as well, man. But if you guys want my full thoughts and all that, check out my first impressions for my full thoughts on the intro, man. But I personally like the intro, man. Even if it's AI generated, I think it looks cool. That's just me personally. But that's just me. Yeah, another thing I like with the show, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, is I love what they do with Nick Fury's character. This is definitely a show very much built around Nick Fury and really just adding a lot more dimensions and characterization to him than we have previously seen in other MCU projects he's been in. I can't go into detail a lot of them because a lot of them are spoilery, but I just love what they do with Nick Fury's character in the show, with Nick Fury's character in this show, man. And I thought it was great. I already mentioned before how Samuel Jackson just absolutely kills it, man, in his performance, and that goes with, of course, with all the added layer, with all the characterization they gave to him, man. And yeah, there's still a lot of this show that I want to talk about. I can't, like I mentioned before, I can't really get too deep into it for spoiler reasons. But I will say that there was one thing I did have a problem with. Also, the final episode is fucking amazing, man. Like, I know a lot of people were saying that the show was boring and slow around the start of it, man, which I can kind of see. I personally was really bothered by it. It definitely starts to pick up in the last couple of episodes, man. Especially like the last 2 or 3, man. That's when the show really starts hitting high gear, man, and I was locked in from then on, man. I was already enjoying the show before, but once it gets like those last couple episodes, man, I was in, bro. There was some good shit in there in those last couple of episodes, man. But as I was saying, one thing I did have I would have problem with is the villain of the shit, man. I just thought he was kind of boring and generic, just like a Skrull that wants revenge, basically. That's kind of his whole motive. There really isn't much to the guy, man, but that's just me personally. But yeah, man, I think that's all I can talk about for my spoiler free. Because like I said, very vague. Don't really get too much in detail because I don't want to spoil people, man. And there's a lot of this show is very spoilery. So yeah, man. Anyway, guys, over on my final verdict for Secret Invasion is going to be a 9 out of 10, guys. So as always, we're now going to get into the spoiler discussion. So you guys do not want to get spoiled. You guys haven't watched the show and you want to watch it later, leave now. And everyone else, let's continue. So, the first major thing that shocked me about the series as well as everyone else is the fact that Marina Hill fucking dies in the first episode, which was pretty shocking to see because I didn't think they were ever going to kill up Marina, but seeing her death, man, was definitely pretty shocking, man. Then, of course, we had later on the show where we found out that Rhodey was a Skrull, or at least Rhodey in this show was a Skrull, and who knows maybe how long he has been a Skrull up in the MCU. Maybe I don't know. I saw some people theorize that he might have been a Skrull since, like, Endgame. Oh, another thing that I also kind of had a problem with was that there's this cameo in the show around, I think it was like episode 5, might have been episode 4 that pops up, and the entire time I'm like, who the fuck is this dude? I go on Twitter, I found he's like a character from Black Widow. Kind of wish they gave us a little bit, like throwing a flashback or so, just so I remember who the fuck the dude was. Because I was looking at him like, I feel like I should know you, but I don't remember you, bro. Like, where were you from? Were you in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something? So that's another thing I had a problem with that show, with that one cameo they did where I'm like, who the fuck are you? But anyway, as I was saying, we found out Rhodey is a Skrull as well, at least in this series, man. I saw some people theorize it might have been a Skrull since like Endgame or somewhere else recently. But that was pretty cool to see when that was revealed. And that kind of explains how Rhodey acts. Seriously, we're just acts like he's just like sick and tired of dealing with everybody's shit. And bro, his interactions with Nick Fury are some of the funniest shit ever. Where like Nick Fury like, come on, brother, help brother out, man. Brother. And then you, of course, got them sharing a drink of like this old black alcohol thing that was from like the 1950s or something. That scene was pretty fucking awesome, man. Just Rhodey in the show in Joe, man, was just a blast. Don Cheadle, man, was giving like his best performance as Rhodey in this show, man. I feel like he was having the time of his life, during these scenes, man. Especially brother. Like I said, Nick Fury and Rhodey's banter in the show, man, was just fantastic. I loved it. But easily the best thing I thought about the show that added was, of course, we finding out that Nick Fury actually has a wife who is a Skrull, which was very shocking to see. And I kind of really dug what they did with the relationship. We get some flashbacks to when they first met. And I thought it was a really just great way just to humanize Nick Fury and just show us another side of him that we hadn't seen in the MCU at this point. And the scenes with him and his wife were very well done. Probably some of my favorite moments in the series, man, were between Nick Fury and his wife, man. It was done really well. The actress that betrayed her, man, did a fantastic job, man. And those were easily some of the highlights of the show, man, was getting into Nick Fury and especially showing off his wife and like the other life he used to live before he became like the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything and kind of ran off and everything. So that scene was really well done as well. I also love the suit up they did for him when he got his eye patch back on at the end of episode 5. That was pretty cool, which I think we saw a little bit of that in the trailers. But the final episode, man, was fucking fantastic. Also, Talos dies as well, which is once again pretty shocking to see, man. I didn't think he would die. I think they would have figured if they kept him alive, we would see him in like Captain Marvel 2 or something. The Marvels, I should say. But Yeah, and definitely with Rhodey being a Skrull, I'm definitely curious to see how that's going to tie in to Armor Wars, because I feel that we'll probably have some ramifications into Armor Wars. We'll probably see some stuff about that. Maybe we'll see a flashback how Rhodey was even captured by the Skrulls in the first place in Armor Wars, hopefully. But definitely with the shows, and I know I'm all over the place, but with the show, which brings us my stuff at the end right here. The way this show ends makes it feel like we're like, the president of the United States basically declares war on the Skrulls. It makes it seem like we actually are going to get, especially given the final fight of the final fight of the show between the main villain and Talos' daughter, where they both basically get all the Avengers' powers and they'll just start morphing between them, and a very much an anime-esque fight, man, bro. That final fight was fucking awesome, bro. Like, as an anime fan, bro, I was pleased. It was very anime-esque in its fighting. But yeah, that whole final fight was fucking, especially when she like photons blast a freaking hole right through, man. Bro, that shit was hype, bro. That was hype, bro. That final fight was amazing, bro. I was giddy and I was losing my shit while watching, bro. That final fight was done really well, man. CGI looked great as well, at least to me anyway. But as I was saying, with the ending of the show, ending where the U.S. or basically the president declares war on the remaining Skrulls, they're still there, causing this whole ripple effect where people are becoming vigilantes, killing anyone they suspect to be a Skrull and everything. Some of them just being innocent people, some of them are indeed Skrulls. It makes it seem like, and of course with her teaming up with what the fuck is that British bitch's name? Sonya. Sonya, the British chick that was like torturing another Skrull with like this juice she had or whatever, that kind of like felt like they like made them burn inside out or whatever the hell it was. With her joining up with her, and it seems like they're going to be going to war with the U.S. to protect the Skrulls and everything, and now she has the powers of all the various Avengers. It does seem like we actually are maybe down the road actually are going to get a proper Secret Invasion at Avengers film, it looks like, where we will get to see the Marvel characters team up and going up against a Skrull that's very much like the original comic, maybe under a different name. Which definitely does make you wonder why they even bothered doing this show if they were going to go down and give us Secret Invasion properly anyway. That's just how it comes off. It could be something else completely different. This could be something we might even see more in the Marvels. This could be something we can see in Armor Wars, another MCU project down the line. But given just the way it ends, we're seeing that we are indeed going to get that proper Secret Invasion adaptation. It definitely does make you wonder why they even bothered with this show, man. But either way, man, if we end up doing like a proper Secret Invasion adaptation with the Avengers and everything, that is that proper Avengers film that most of us suspected was going to be originally for many years, I got no problems with it, man, because I like what the show set up, man, and I definitely can see where this is going to lead, how this is going to pay off in future MCU projects, man. So, I think that's about everything that I wanted to talk about with Secret Invasion, man. I think I got through everything, the major story beats, the major deaths, and just some of my other favorite moments of the show that I thought were really well done. Obviously, I mentioned before, Nick Fury was easily the highlight, man. I love what they did with his character, man. The added characterization they gave to him, and just Samuel Jackson's performance, man, was just phenomenal on all fronts, man. As always, guys, leave your thoughts on the comments you guys have on the show. What are your theories on what this could lead on for the future of the MCU and all that jazz, man? Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on my social if you feel like it. Links out screen box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.